Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are digging into the V6 Firebird. So as you can see here, we have the upper and lower intakes off, as well as the coil packs, the alternator, and maybe some other little assorted things. But I didn't really record any of this part because I think there's better videos than I will make on YouTube on how to get to this point. You can see here, we have the upper intake, throttle body. I left it all as one piece. I didn't really see a point to removing or separating these two. Coil packs are off, alternator's off, lower intake's off. And as you can see here, the gasket, the lower intake gasket, as I predicted, it is bad. You can see that that there is not looking too good. So the oil and coolant mixing issue is definitely the intake gaskets. So that's good. I feel good seeing that I have identified the problem. I wanted to record this video to basically kind of show you guys some tips and tricks on how to get this off. Nothing was too ridiculously hard, but there was some tricks. So the biggest issue that I've fought is this bracket here that the coil pack mounts to. It's got these two bolts that go into the back of the cylinder head, and it's just really a pain to mess with the wire gathering back there. You really don't need to remove it because I removed the lower intake without removing that piece. And I should just be able to remove that cylinder head and mess with that bracket once it's out. But there's 3 bolts, 2 in the back and 1 that goes on the lower intake. It's overall just kind of a pain. So just don't waste your time with that like I did. I wasted probably 40 minutes messing with it. And if I was going to do this again, I would probably start with removing the water pump and the tensioner. This here, I would remove that just because it would make the lower intake removal and the upper intake especially removal a little easier. So if you're doing this yourself, I would recommend taking that off first. But yeah, so we have definitely dug into it here. I ran into some kind of interesting problems unique to my car. My coil packs were all super corroded, which I didn't even know about because the car wasn't misfiring. So I don't know how it wasn't misfiring though, because the terminals on the coils here were very, very rusted. But my dad was actually kind of determined to clean these up, and it seems like he did a pretty good job. The fuel rail, my particular car had a mouse nest on the driver's side of the intake manifold here. It was kind of built up on this side. And I presume some kind of mouse urine or something was making the injectors rather difficult to remove. They look like they might be okay. Maybe the O-rings are torn. I'm not really sure. I'll have to research that a little bit. I might end up needing to replace some of those O-rings. We'll see though. That's one of the last pieces I'll have to put back on the car. So I might very well just hook it back up, and if it leaks, get new injectors or O-rings or whatever it needs. But the map sensor that plugs into this hole here, that gave me some trouble. I would recommend just unscrewing it because I was trying to I pulled the vacuum hoses off the front and the back, and there's a bolt for the lower or the upper intake manifold down there, and it's right in line with the map sensor. So you really do got to pull this out to pull the upper intake off. But if it takes a T30 Torx bit, and you can remove that. But that was really the only challenges we faced. Everything else was just the wire connection for the soft fuel lines, which are here. I used a 3/8 fuel line removal tool. My bad. This thing right here, this is a 3/8, and you just slide it over, and you work the hose off from there. I used the 3/8 tool on both fuel lines. One of them appears to be a little bigger, but the 3/8 tool still worked just fine. So not too much fanfare there. So now at this point, I'm getting ready to basically take the valve covers off, take the rockers out, take the push rods out. I'm not sure if I'm going to remove the lifters before I remove the heads or remove the heads before I remove the lifters. This isn't like an LS where you have to pull the heads to get the lifters out. So I might do the lifters first. We'll see. I can see the little trays down there. But the balancer has been I haven't tried that yet. I'm a little nervous for the balancer, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe that should be my next task here. But this is the progress, and I can give you an overview of the new parts. So here is the new exhaust manifold gaskets, which reminds me I gotta oil soak the stock manifolds. Here's the new cam in there, and then here's all the parts. So we'll start over on this end. We got LS7 lifters, head gasket spray, which from what I understand, this is basically just supposed to help like the gasket adhere to the head and the block. And I hear this is good stuff if you're using like used engine parts like I am. Got some aluminum coolant elbows because we did break one. As you can see here, coolant elbow definitely not survived. We have a JP Performance timing chain from Australia that comes with the cam kit. We have I believe these are like Pack 105 springs. Nothing too fancy, but it comes with the cam kit. This should be stiffer than stock. We have new lifter trays. We have reusable rocker arm bolts. The factory rocker arm bolts are torque to yield, so these are now reusable. We have some stainless exhaust manifold hardware because my factory stuff is not looking too good, and I'm assuming I'm going to break at least some of them. Got some valve stuff, more valve stuff. I got some retainers and whatnot. I believe this is for the actual camshaft. So I think we'll use this to secure the timing chain and whatnot to it. Here we have the pre-tuned ECM. So my car still has its original ECM in it. And from what I understand, this camshaft can run on the factory tune. It's just not going to run like great. But Intense Racing will actually sell you a pre-tuned ECM. Now you can mail your ECM to them, or for an extra 75 bucks, I just bought an entirely new ECM because I wasn't super fond of the idea of shit. Hey guys, how's it going? So I have made large progress here. Unfortunately, I didn't really get any video of it because it was rather kind of a disaster, to be fair. But as you can see, we got the engine down to the block, got the heads off, got the upper lower intake off, got a lot of the front stuff off, got a lot of the wires undone. There were some key things that fought me along the way. One of which was the the passenger side rear lift bracket, which is somewhere around here. I'll have to find that. But yeah, right here, this thing. So that thing really put up a fight because there's two bolts that go into the back of the head this way. And one of them I was able to reach from the top. The other one I had to go in from the bottom with like I actually had to custom make a ratchet handle to reach it. So that was a disaster. I eventually did get it off though, so that's cool. Getting the cylinder heads off was interesting because I naively thought that I was going to be able to simply unbolt the exhaust manifold and just move it out of the way a little bit to be able to get a socket onto the blower head bolts and just take the heads off that way. That did not end up working quite like that at all. So I had to remove the exhaust manifolds from the head and from the Y pipe. Removing them from the Y pipe wasn't a big deal. I just broke the bolts off the bottom. Removing them from the heads were significantly trickier because the bolts and the studs were all very rusted. The heat shield was getting in the way, so I had to kind of destroy the heat shield to get it off. And yes, I mean, these manifolds were not easy to get off. I did pull them out through the top, but yeah, the manifolds were giving us a good bit of trouble yesterday. The heads themselves, getting the heads off wasn't too bad. There's just 8 bolts holding each head on. I got the heads over here. So nothing too crazy here. There's 4 bolts inside the head and then 4 bolts on the bottom. So nothing was too ridiculous there. There was some grounds on the driver's side back of the head, as you can see there, that I was not aware of. So I had to find that out after the fact. But we got those off. And honestly, the inside the cylinders isn't looking too bad for 107,000 miles. It's really not that bad. I mean, I got some coolant in there I got to clean out from when I popped the head gaskets off. Now the passenger side does have a little bit more carbon than the driver's side, because the driver's side has virtually none. And the interesting part that I found out when I took the manifold off is the passenger side manifold, the O2 sensors you can see here, actually melted and the wires are kind of contacting. So I think the O2 sensor's been bad for a while, and I never really would have noticed it unless I took the manifold off, so that's good. But yeah, so right now I am working on getting the balancer off. I got the balancer bolt out. Now I just got to actually pull the balancer off the crankshaft. I can move this here. Whoops. But yeah, so I can move the balancer off, and then I got to get the timing cover off. Then at that point, it should just be a matter of removing the timing gears and the camshaft, and basically reversing my steps here. So as far as my manifolds go, I wasn't exactly planning on removing them from the vehicle, but I had to. So I do have these headers over here that I bought years ago off of eBay very cheaply, right there. So I'm going to try to put those on. We're going to see how that goes. I tried to like test fit them a little bit, and it wasn't looking great, but we're gonna try our best. I look like the steering column might be very much in the way, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But alright guys, how's it going? Here's a little update on the Firebird. I got the new cam in. So I took the timing cover off, timing set, replaced that with the JP single timing set. Put the new cam in. Here's the stock cam. Pretty good shape. Nothing looked like it was immediately wrong. But I got that in there, got the timing set in, got that all dialed in. Put the cover back on, new gasket and all that kind of stuff. So right now I'm working on the heads and the intake manifold, getting all that cleaned up, getting ready to put back on. You can see here my new part table is getting less and less, which is good. And my old part table is also getting less and less, which is good. Yeah, but so some of this old stuff was quite a mess. Alright guys, we were down in my cylinder head rebuilding station here. So I was able to get the, let's see if I can flip it over here gently. I was able to get the surface of the heads very nice, really smooth. I was even able to clean up the valves and stuff. As you can see here, I got the new 105 springs on. So that was cool. I'm currently working on the intake, the lower intake, getting that cleaned up, as well as the valve covers. Parts washers come in handy. Here's the old springs. Nothing looked out of the ordinary, really. Everything was looking all right. Pulled the plugs out. Plugs were looking quite corroded, but the actual electrode looks fine. Coolant elbow was totally cached. So at the point now where I'm ready to start putting it back together, I hope. And hopefully not long from now I'll have a running vehicle again. Thanks for watching guys, that's the update. And hopefully the next time you see the car, it's running.